Right, good morning, Year 7. So today what we're going to be doing is looking at a way of representing the organisms in a food chain. So what I would like you to do is just stop and think for a moment and try and answer these three questions. And if you want, you can quickly doodle this up into your book, okay? What is this? What does it show? And when would you use it? Okay, so you can pause the video quickly, quickly copy that up, and then try and answer those three questions just next to it. Make a little bit of room for that. Okay, off you go, please. Okay, so this is called a pyramid of numbers, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what it shows and when would you would use it as you go through the lesson today. So by the end of the day, all of you will be able to describe a pyramid of numbers. Most of you will be able to draw, label, and order a pyramid of numbers. And a few of you will be able to draw a pyramid of numbers with difference and be able to explain why the numbers in a food chain generally go down. Okay, so the first thing I would like you to do is I would like you to copy this into your book. But before you do, I'm just going to quickly explain it. That's just quite similar to the one we just saw. Okay, look at the red arrow that says energy loss. Okay, so think about what this shows you. As you go up a food chain, the energy is being lost. So we have our producer here, our plant, which gets its energy from what? Okay, think about what it needs to grow. And then you've got the caterpillar. It eats the cabbage. So where does it, or lettuce, so where does it get its energy from? Then you've got the bird eats the caterpillar. And then finally, if the fox is very quick, it might well eat the bird. Then start to look at these numbers here. What do you think these represent? So the first thing I'd like you to do is very quickly draw this out, okay? And then think about the ways that energy can be lost as you go up the food chain, okay? So pause the video once again and start thinking about how energy can be lost, okay? Off you go, please. Okay, so I've given you an example of some of the things that we could think about. For example, a leaf of a lettuce may get some energy, but maybe it doesn't get all of the sun's energy. Maybe not all of the energy that it could get from the sun is absorbed. Plants, some people forget, actually do need energy. They respire, they need energy to live. So some of the energy that the plant gets is actually used. And then some might be in roots. Now, here's the question. Is the energy which the lettuce used available to the caterpillar? Well, no, it's not. It's already been used by the plant to help it grow. Okay, and caterpillars tend not to go underground and eat the roots of plants. And so, is the energy that's stored, say, in the plant's roots available to the caterpillar? Well, no, it's not. So, 100 joules of energy which the plant has been able to make, even if the caterpillar comes along and eats the entire lettuce, okay, it's not going to get to the roots, it can't get to the energy that the lettuce has already used, so therefore it'll only get 67 joules of energy by even eating the whole plant, okay? So only 67 joules is passed up. So what I want you to do is think of other ways in which, say, these organisms use their energy. So let's just quickly go to the caterpillar. Now, the caterpillar is a living thing, and like all living things, including the leaf, caterpillar, the bird, and the fox, they do respiration. So that one would appear in all of them. It's a chemical reaction that releases energy. I think, what else do the caterpillars do that use energy? Okay, so maybe make a list like I've done here underneath. What does the caterpillar need to do? Maybe it wiggles around, movement. Does movement require energy? Is it warm-blooded? Does it give off heat? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'll let you decide. And then you can see, because of all that, less energy is available for the bird. Now think about what the bird does. The bird is a very energetic animal. So therefore, think about the energy available for that. And then finally, up to the fox. So you can see that of 100 joules of energy that came in from the sun, only 1% of that, 1 joule, eventually gets passed up to the fox. So at each stage in a food chain, a lot of energy is simply lost to the environment, is simply being used up. Okay, right, so the first thing I'd like you to do is now add a list of how the energy is lost as you go up the food chain. So what sort of ways in which energy could be lost? Okay, pause the video once again and do that now, please. Okay, so just another quick example for you. Let's just say a cow is eating grass. How is some of that energy used? So a lot of it is lost as heat, 10% of it used for growth, and 60% lost in urine and feces. Okay, so that means if we add it up, 60% is lost as feces and urine. That means that of all the grass the cow ate, a lot of it couldn't be digested, so it had to come out as waste. Over half of it, 60%. The cow does respiration, which gives off as heat, so 30% as heat. Only 10% is actually used to make more cow, essentially make more beef. So it's not a very efficient way of actually producing food when you think about it, because for all the grass a cow eats, only 10% of it is actually used for growth to make more cow. Most of that energy which the cow eats is actually lost. It's waste. Okay, so quick memory test. Have a look at this. This is a pyramid of numbers and a food chain next to it. Okay, you've got sparrowhawk, a thrush, the snail, and the primary consumer. Let's do a quick test. Try and draw an exact copy. So pause the video, off you go. Okay, so the key thing here was being able to memorize the shape of a pyramid next to the level in the food chain. Okay, and we call these levels trophic levels. So if you're a producer, if you're a plant, you are at the first trophic level. Your trophic level is producer. If you're a snail, you eat the plants, you are a primary consumer. So your trophic level is primary consumer. And then so on with the thrush. They eat primary consumers, so they're secondary consumers, and so on and so on. Okay, so a new word for you, trophic level. And that is the level that you are at in the food chain. So either you're a producer, you're at that level, a primary consumer, a secondary consumer, or a tertiary consumer. Also, in some food chains, you can go even higher. You can get something called a quaternary consumer, which would be a top predator, things like a lion or something like that. Anyway, can you just write, please, what it is, what it means to a trophic level is? Okay, so a definition, one sentence, a trophic level, what it is, please. Okay, off you go. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of practice drawing a pyramid of numbers for this. Okay, so what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and show what the numbers are. So these numbers here actually represent not necessarily energy, but in this case they actually represent the number of individuals. So what that means is a crop of 100 lettuce leaves can support 60 caterpillars, which in turn can support 15 birds and 1 fox. So in an area, that is what you might find. So can you draw the correct pyramid for this food chain? So think about the pyramid of numbers I just showed you, the one you just drew, which I asked you to memorize. Try and draw that, but here is the tricky part. You need to draw it to scale. So let's think about what we've got here. If we were to draw it to scale, the width of the bars need to be to scale. So think about this. If you had 100, what measurements could you use? Okay, maybe centimeters. The problem is if you did 100 centimeters, your bar would be 1 meter long, and that wouldn't fit in your book. So you've got to be logical about this. So if you can't use centimeters, what could you use? Okay, 60. 15, 1. Okay, so pause the video now and try and draw in a pyramid of numbers to scale, and you need to decide what the width is going to be, and it must be accurate. Okay, off you go. Okay, so my suggestion was actually going to be millimeters. So if you had 100 millimeters, well, that would be 10 centimeters. So your producer, your leaf, should have been 10 centimeters long, exactly 10 centimeters. Okay, 100 millimeters. Then on top of that, you should have had your caterpillar at 60 millimeters or 6 centimeters. Then your bird at 15 millimeters, so 1.5 centimeters. And then at the very top, your fox should have been 1 millimeter wide. Okay, so it should have looked something like that. Okay, so if you didn't get this, can you now draw the correction? This also brings us to an interesting point. The reason it's called a pyramid of numbers is because, as you can see, it forms a very approximate sort of pyramid shape. Now that's going to become very, very important when we do the next stage, okay? Because there are other things, not only pyramid of numbers. Okay, so here is your task for today. The leaves, and this is an assignment, the leaves from a small apple tree fall to the ground. Underneath the following animals were found: 8 centipedes, 100 springtails, 1 harvestman spider, 4 parasitic mites on the spider, and 50 leaves. Now, you've got the interactions between them. A harvestman eats a small centipede, springtails eat fallen apple leaves, centipedes eat springtails. Okay, there they all are. So, can you sketch what you think a pyramid of numbers would look like? Okay, so you're going to need to take a bit of time with this, which will probably take you about 10 minutes because you've got to organize this, you've got to see what eats what. Okay, there is also a little bit of a complication in there, which I'll get to a bit later. Okay, so go into assignments, have a go at this, draw it in your book. Okay, off you go. Okay, now also in assignments, there is a YouTube link that explains pyramids of numbers, and it also talks about something else called a pyramid of biomass. Listen to it, but don't worry too much about pyramids of biomass just yet. That's a little bit advanced. Really focus on the pyramids of numbers so you are completely clear about how to use that. So pause the tutorial now, go into assignments and click on the YouTube link that shows you about pyramids of numbers and pyramids of biomass. There is also another YouTube link in there, which is for the very end of the lesson, so make sure you click on the right one, please. Okay, pause this and off you go. Right, welcome back. So what I would like you to do, your first task is draw up this pyramid of numbers in your book. Then match it to the food chain 1, 2, or 3. So think logically, which one do you think it would be? I'll go through the answers in just a moment. So pause the video now, draw this, and then write out which food chain you think this pyramid of numbers represents. Off you go, please. Okay, same thing, welcome back. Number 2. Which one do you think it relates to? Pyramid of numbers. Which food chain does it link to? So once again, pause the video, draw this up, draw in the one you think it represents. Okay, off you go, please. Okay, and final one. So pause the video, draw this up. Which one do you think it relates to? Okay, so going back to this one, we actually have a very small number at the bottom, okay? Then a reasonably large number, then a smaller number, and then at the top, a big number. So you can see this isn't the traditional pyramid shape, wide at the bottom, big at the, small at the top. So let's think about this. Grass would have a lot of grass, so that doesn't really follow with that. Okay, so we can pretty much eliminate this first one. Tree, well, yeah, you might only have one tree. So in terms of that might well be that. Okay, aphids. Well, yes, aphids are like little green fly, and you can have thousands of them living on one tree. A ladybird, yeah, you can have hundreds of ladybirds feeding off thousands of aphids. So actually, yes, it's less. So actually, that would fit there. And parasites. Now, do ladybirds have parasites? Yes, they have like these tiny, tiny little single-cell parasites that live on them. And if you've got, say, 500 ladybirds, if each one has, say, 10 parasites, well, then, yeah, that's going to be bigger. So it was actually number 2, tree, aphid, ladybird, parasite. So give yourself a tick if you got that one right. Okay, the next one. So we've got a massive thing. So a tree, well, we've already know it's not this one because that was the last one. Could it be this one? A rose bush, a caterpillar, blue tit, badger. It could be, except you would only really have one rose bush. Okay, this represents a large number of rose bushes. It could be 100 rose bushes. That doesn't really fit because, so no, it probably isn't that one. Grass, well, you can have thousands of great blades of grass, so it probably would be this one. Crane fly larva, they're just little flies that buzz around. Yep, they'll eat the grass. A swallow, type of bird, they'll eat the larva, and then a fox. So that would be number 1. Okay, so give yourself a tick if you got that one right. And then this one. So you're probably thinking by a process of elimination. Rosebush, yeah, one rosebush. Caterpillar, blue tit, badger. How many of you spotted the mistake? This one, I am sorry, I threw it in as a red herring to see if you would actually go for it. This is none of them for simple reason. 1, there are 4 steps, but there are 5 trophic levels represented. So I was seeing who had the keen eye on this one. All right. The closest one would be number 3, but what I was really interested in was who had the close eye and spotted that there were only 5 trophic levels here, but only 4 steps in the food chain. Right. Final thing I would like you to do is there's a video clip on pesticides in the food chain. This is going to link to some of what we're doing. So unfortunately, sometimes when we use pesticides to protect our crops, those pesticides can build up in a food chain. They move up through the pyramid of numbers. And we're going to have a closer look at that maybe next week. Okay, but just as an introduction, click on the link in assignments, play that video, and I'd like you to make 2 or 3 notes about that. Okay, off you go, please. Apologies, actually, that was my final thing. So just want to say good luck, and please remember to upload your work to assignments. Okay, you can either do it on computer or just simply take a photo of it and do it in your book, take a photo of it. Okay, everyone, good luck, and I will see you next week. And of course, I'll be online to help you out if you get stuck.